أهلاً وسهلاً بكم في ليلة ألف عشاء لعام 2025. يسعدني أيضاً أن أعايدكم في يوم المرأة العالمي. أنا سناء السبعلي، عضو في مجلس إدارة جمعية الأمم المتحدة مقاطعة جونسون كاونتي. باسم مجلس الإدارة وعضوية جمعية الأمم المتحدة مقاطعة جونسون كاونتي، يسرنا وجودكم هنا للاحتفال معنا ببعض المنظمات غير الربحية التي تعمل على دعم هدف التنمية المستدامة رقم 3: الصحة والرفاه، خاصة للمهاجرين واللاجئين.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Bijou Maliabo, membre du conseil d'administration de l'Association des Nations Unies du comté de Johnson ou GCUNL. Dorothy Paul a organisé la première nuit de mille-dîner chez elle il y a une trentaine d'années. À cette époque, il s'agissait d'un vaste mouvement visant à collecter des fonds pour le déminage. Ainsi, Mille-Dîner, membre, fondatrice et dirigeante leader de la GCUNA et de Iowa UNA, Dorothy était et reste une source d'inspiration pour nous. Bien que Dorothy soit décédée en 2024, nous sommes heureux d'avoir pu célébrer ses contributions, ainsi que celles d'autres mères fondatrices. Lors d'un événement en 2023 à Oakland, où elle vivait, et à nouveau lors de l'assemblée annuelle de l'UNA de Iowa. Merci.
मेरा नाम जेरी एंथनी है। मैं JCUNA बोर्ड का सदस्य हूँ। मुझे निःशुल्क चिकित्सा और जन चिकित्सा क्लिनिक का परिचय देते हुए खुशी हो रही है। यह उन समूहों में से पहला है जिन्हें हम आज शाम सम्मानित कर रहे हैं और जिनके लिए धन जुटा रहे हैं।
Hi, my name is Jenny Schmidt, and I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa City Free Medical and Dental Clinic. We have been in Iowa City since 1971. We are thought to be the second oldest continuously running clinic in the United States. Our mission is to provide health care for the uninsured and insured in Johnson County and surrounding area. 70% of our patients are employed. 100% of our patients live below 200% of the poverty level. 80% of our patients come from Johnson County. The other 20% come from surrounding and contingent counties. For the uninsured and underinsured, the Iowa City Free Medical Clinic is an important fourth choice when they are faced with the need for medical care. Their three choices without the Iowa City Free Medical Clinic are to pay out of pocket, to go to the emergency room, which is even more expensive than paying out of pocket for private services and costs the hospital, or what they most likely tend to do is forego care altogether. Because we are here, they have a fourth choice. They can come to us and receive high-quality healthcare services without the cost associated with getting access to this care. We offer 5 to 7 medical clinics and 2 dental clinics a week. In these clinics, patients have access to acute, chronic, and specialty care, including gynecology, dermatology, ophthalmology, orthopedics, physical therapy, and hearing screening. Over 60% of our patients live with chronic diseases such as diabetes and hypertension. For these patients, we've created the case management program in which patients are routinely monitored and receive all of their medications and other support they need to successfully manage their disease, including insulin monitors, glucose monitoring strips, blood pressure monitors, and access to diabetic education and support. Also on site, we have a lab in which we can draw blood from our patients and get all their tests done, and a dispensary through which we provide their medications, including insulin. This care is provided by 2 part-time doctors, 2 full-time nurses, 2 part-time nurses, and the rest through volunteers. Last year, 1,462 volunteers provided over 4,200 hours of service to help us achieve our goals. We offer patients vouchers to get eye exams and eyeglasses off-site, along with partnering with Team Breast Friends to provide 50 women a year with mammograms at Corridor Radiology. These partnerships are examples of the tremendous unity we have with people in the community who help us provide the services we provide. In twice-weekly dental clinics, patients receive dental exams, fillings, extractions, and dental hygiene. We partner with Healthy Kids in the schools to provide pediatric dental clinics, and once a month, we host medical clinics for healthy kids in which they come in and use our facilities to help service kids in Johnson County who are not enrolled in the Iowa City Community School District. We have been supported by the community since our inception, and we rely on our donors to help us continue this legacy of care.
और अब निशुल्क चिकित्सा क्लिनिक के लिए प्रमाण पत्र स्वीकार करने के लिए आ रही हैं माननीय अतिथि जेनी श्मिट।
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
I just wanted to thank you all so much. We're so honored, and how the film ended up is really true. We depend on the community to support us, and we are so thankful. And I wanted to take a chance to point out Dr. Cecilia Norris, our medical director, who for over 18 years has led the ship and given so much, and we're so appreciative. Thank you.
Soy Mersburn Klug, miembro de la Junta Directiva de JCUNA. Me complace presentar a nuestra segunda organización sin fines de lucro distinguida, Prairielands Freedom Fund.
In its inception in 2017, Prairielands Freedom Fund was called the Bond Project. Raising money to pay bonds was one way, among many, the community could respond to the shattering aftermath of a raid. When it was founded, there were only a few organized bond funds in the country. Now, we are part of the National Bail Fund Network with more than 75 other funds. Our mission is to pay immigration bonds and pretrial bail to free people from detention. We reject the assumption that imprisonment is necessary or inevitable. We affirm the dignity and agency of imprisoned people and minimize the harm imprisonment inflicts on families and communities. In our first year of existence, we distributed $17,000 in bond. The very next year, that number became $144,000. The beauty of bond is that, ideally, it returns to be distributed again, a revolving door of community care and opportunity. As of 2024, we have paid 137 pretrial bonds and 215 immigration bonds, freeing 352 to be reunited with their family, distributing over $1,900,000. People released on bond have better chances of getting to stay in the community. Nationally, 68% of people released on bond are not removed from the United States. Compare that to an overall removal rate of 46%. When a person is released on bond, they have a much better chance of finding an attorney and more time to prepare their case and to collect and allocate the resources they'll need to defend themselves from deportation. In 2018, ICE conducted a workplace raid at Midwest Precast Cement in Mount Pleasant, with 32 people detained and dozens of families like Tina's in distress. Prairielands focused their campaigning on getting everyone, not just the easiest to vouch for, out. We weren't able to help those with previous deportation orders, but of the 24 individuals released on bond, Prairielands posted bail for more than half.
On the morning of May 9th, 2018, Tina returned home from a night shift. Her husband, Jake, was already at work, so she took her kids to school and then sank into sleep. It had rained overnight, but now it was cool, mid-60s on a day that would later get hot. Tina woke up to a ringing phone. It was a friend calling with a warning. Tina needed to find an important piece of paper, the one from the lawyer, immediately. That was when she knew that something terrible was happening. She ran through her house, crying and scouring her records. She dug through everything until she found what she needed. The drive between her house and Midwest precast concrete, where Jake worked, normally took 30 minutes. That day, Tina made it in 15. She was desperate to get to him before they took him. She had to show them the papers that proved he was in the process of becoming legal. She knew that if she didn't, they might deport him.
When Tina got to the concrete plant where an ICE raid was underway, she left her car and edged her way between the cops, anxious to show someone the paper. But by the time she got there, Jake was already gone. Before the raid, Tina and Jake's lives were those of an average busy family. Jake didn't have much time during the week because of work, but on the weekends they tried to do things with the kids. They went to church. They paid the bills. They had recently celebrated some longed-for news. Tina was 5 weeks pregnant with their 4th child. Now, 2 days after Jake had heard about the new baby, he was in the back of a van, wrists pinched with zip ties. He still had his phone, and Tina was able to text with him while he was in transit. "Don't answer anything," she reminded him. She knew that plenty could go wrong in an ICE facility. Don't answer, don't sign. But when Jake reached the ICE office in Cedar Rapids, the text messages stopped coming. The days after ICE took Jake were filled with fear. Tina was in constant action, hoping to grab some thread of information beyond what she already knew. First, though, she had to break the news to their kids.
That was when the crying started. It hardly stopped from that point on. To Tina, life became nothing but crying. She left the kids crying when she went to work at night, and even though they were with her mother-in-law, she felt like she was leaving them alone. Often, when she returned in the morning, they were still in tears. Her son began acting out. He tried to put on a front like nothing bothered him. But Tina knew he cried all night, so hard that she could feel the bed shake. Tina did the best she could. She put her son into therapy. She traveled constantly to Cedar Rapids to visit Jake. She called their lawyer. She didn't always hear back. 3 weeks in, ICE set a bond. Tina balked at the number, $10,000. She wondered, where am I going to come up with that? The bank wouldn't extend her a loan, so she cut corners and sold everything she could think of. She called people who owed her money. She pinched pennies, and she worked. She sold rims. She tried to sell her truck. Anything.
One of the people Prairielands posted bond for was Jake. Tina dialed our phone line from a courthouse in Omaha, where she and the children had driven to attend Jake's hearing. When the call went through, Prairielands told her that they would pay to get her husband out. Tina pulled up to the jail first thing on the day Jake was to be released, but they waited all morning. They didn't know when he would get out, no time or even time range, just the day itself. They waited and waited and waited. They didn't even leave to go to the bathroom or grab food because they didn't want to miss him. Their son took up a mantra. 5 o'clock, he kept saying. 5 o'clock.
Then 5 o'clock rolled around, and Jake came out of the building. Her son sprinted to his dad and hugged him. Tina fell into his hug, but she was alarmed. Her husband was changed. The meaty man she'd known 3 weeks ago had lost so much weight he'd become skinny. His face, which usually had a neatly trimmed goatee, was unkempt, bearded, and scruffy. It filled her soul to see him, but it also hurt.
These days, Tina tries not to think too much about the weeks when Jake was detained. Life is a little harder than it was before. Tina is cleaning extra houses, trying to make ends meet for the family, trying to make 2 incomes as one person. Of course, she thinks with time you heal, but you don't ever fully get over it. She does think of the callousness of the court system. It didn't seem to care about the realities of people's daily lives. When they went to their follow-up appearance in court, however, something in the court chambers struck her. A woman she didn't know was there to support Jake. In fact, there were many people who had come to show their support. It particularly struck her that all these strangers were white, presumably American citizens. In a world where there is so much division and hatred, Tina felt it meant so much to see people different from her showing up to support her family and their future.
Prairielands Freedom Fund recognizes the inherent dignity of all people and believes that everyone has the right to seek a life of peace and safety.
We respect all people's right to make choices about their lives free from the harm and coercion caused by imprisonment.
In the face of systems that dehumanize, divide, and confuse, we choose to love and trust each other.
We strive to uplift the voices and prioritize the participation of members of communities unduly impacted by detention to ensure that we are not recreating systemic structures of oppression within our work.
We are committed to paying bond so that no member of our community is held in detention because of their lack of funds.
We are committed to paying bond as an act of community care, deep love for each other, and resistance to the forces that try to separate us from one another.
Thank you for supporting our work. Together, we keep each other safe.
Elizabeth Bernal recibe el certificado en nombre de Prairielands. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm Amel Ali. Elizabeth is actually helping accompany some youth to court in Omaha. So she couldn't be here today, but I'm the bond coordinator. I'm super thankful to be in community here with everyone. It's been really amazing to watch the outpour of support, especially with the new administration. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
कुछ वर्षों में नाइट ऑफ 1000 डिनर में हम किसी ऐसे व्यक्ति या संस्था को विशेष सम्मान देना पसंद करते हैं जो हमारे समुदाय की विशेष रूप में अच्छी सेवा करता है। इस वर्ष हम कोरलविल पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी को सराहना करना चाहते हैं क्योंकि उसने हमारे समुदाय में अप्रवासियों और शरणार्थियों की ज़रूरतों पर ध्यान दिया है। यहाँ उनकी सेवाओं के बारे में कुछ शब्द कहने और हमारी तरफ से पुरस्कार स्वीकृत करने के लिए मौजूद हैं समीरा अब्दुल्ला, जो सामुदायिक संसाधन नेविगेटर हैं, और एमिली क्रीगल, जो अंग्रेजी भाषा सिखाने वाले की कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं। So, Samira Abdullah and Emily Kriegel, could you please come up? Would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Samira Abdallah, and I am the Community Resource Navigator at the Coralville Public Library. I work with immigrants and refugee population and help basically anyone that walks through the library, help them connect to resources that are available in the community.
And I'm Emily Kriegel. I apologize, we don't have a beautiful video for you. I am the community outreach educator, so I am the coordinator of the ELL program along with a lead teacher of the program, and I'm responsible for creating other educational opportunities at the Coralville Library as well. We just wanted to say we're so humbled and honored for receiving this recognition tonight. We really appreciate it, and we acknowledge that we have one of the best jobs we could ever ask for, and it's such a privilege to be able to serve these members of the community.
Yes, and please give a round of applause to Allison and Ellen for having this position available for our community members.
Murega, njĩtagwo Wangui wa Gathua, na ndĩ memba wa bodi JC UNA. Ũmũthĩ organization ĩrĩa tũrahe gĩtĩo nĩ healthy start ya ciana cia refugee East Africa. Na nĩ gĩtĩo kĩnene tondũ niĩ nyumĩte East Africa. Itanya rĩao nĩ gũcanja ciana mirioni 1 arĩa me kambĩ-inĩ cia andũ arĩa marorĩra haro.
Because health for all means all, including refugees and migrants.
Good evening. My name is Jim Olson. I'm a member of the board of the Johnson County UNA. I apologize that I can only speak in English. I'm going to say a bit about our organization with some emphasis on membership and advocacy. And I will be joined by some of our colleagues who will supplement what I have to say. We're celebrating International Women's Day. It's so wonderful to be able to honor Prairielands Freedom Fund, the Free Medical and Dental Clinic, Healthy Start for Refugee Children, and the Coralville Public Library. The proceeds of the event will be divided among Prairielands, the Free Medical and Dental Clinic, and Healthy Start. And we're so grateful to you and to our sponsors for your support. The Johnson County UNA, the Johnson County United Nations Association, which is hosting this event, is a nonpartisan, non-governmental membership organization. It is a movement of people across the country, diverse, we hope, representing all political points of view, who believe that the United Nations is important, that it is important for the United States to be a constructive member of the UN and to give creative, constructive leadership. Our chapter was founded in 1957 when a remarkable woman, Eleanor Roosevelt, Mrs. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the former First Lady, was invited to Iowa City to give a speech at the invitation of the University of Iowa Lecture Series. And in those years, in the decade of the 1950s, Mrs. Roosevelt crisscrossed the country giving speeches, and everywhere she went, she called for members of the public to join our association. So she gave a speech, and after that, she held another public meeting, and she admonished the people from Iowa City whom she met to start a chapter of our association, and so they did. Everybody loved Mrs. Roosevelt. They loved to come out and listen to what she had to say, and they would flock around her and they would say, "Oh, Mrs. Roosevelt, that was just wonderful." And she would say, "Yeah, but how many members did we recruit tonight?" So I don't know if she really said it that way. She probably said it in a far more genteel manner. But the point is that for Mrs. Roosevelt, what was important was membership in our association, because it was a way of giving voice to the majority of Americans who thought that the UN was important and that U.S. leadership in the UN was important. Another remarkable woman was Dorothy Paul, whom we recognized earlier this evening. Dorothy Paul started in our association as a volunteer selling UNICEF merchandise And before long, she became the membership chair, and she was a go-getter. In fact, in the 1970s, our chapter won a national award for membership growth thanks to Dorothy's leadership in membership. So I invite you, in the spirit of Mrs. Roosevelt and in the spirit of Dorothy Paul, to consider membership in our association. The slide gives a URL that you can visit to become a member. If you are a young person aged up to 25 years old, you can join for free. If you're a young professional up to the age of 40, you can join at a reduced rate. And if you're over 40, congratulations, we love you, and hope that you will also join us. So I want to, at this time, call on Liz Paul, who is Dorothy Paul's daughter, and we're so honored that she has traveled from her home to be with us. She is going to say a bit more about about Dorothy's involvement with a special emphasis on advocacy. Liz.
Hello, everyone. Isn't this the coolest evening, right? Very motivating. So first of all, I wanted to thank the Johnson County chapter for doing the remembrance about my mom. And I don't know where Bijou went, but it was beautiful in French. That was lovely. I want to talk a little bit about one person making a difference. And in your program, it talks about my mom starting this dinner, and I want to give a little more context to that. It was 1998. And my mother was the head of the United Nations organizations here in Johnson County, and she read that in the New York office in the central UN headquarters, they're doing a program called the Night of 1,000 Dinners to eradicate landmines in third world countries. So my mother went out, shopped for food, cooked food, invited 12 people over to her house, and only thing she told them was, bring your checkbook. And so at the end, they didn't know what they were doing, right? Maybe they thought they were going to go to Vegas on a big trip or something, I don't know. And so at the end, when she collected the money, she said, now you have another job. You need to go have a dinner. You need to make the same dinner and invite 12 other people. And that was 1998, and that happened for a couple years, and that kind of pay it forward grassroots. And then my mother, in her role in the local United Nations organization, started this event that we're here almost 30 years later. And I think that's a lovely, I want to echo Jim's point about advocacy and membership. You know, I don't know how everyone's feeling, but I'm feeling the last couple months have been really tough. And I'm dismotivated, and you kind of wonder, what can I do? And I think, you know, joining an organization like this, or even being here, I'm so inspired by those three groups that we just saw. I'm filled with joy, and I'm filled with joy seeing you all here tonight. So I would just say, let's, in times that are tough, when we may not be motivated, let's think about, hey, one person can make a difference. That's why we're all here tonight. Thank you.
So the work of our chapter falls into two categories, education and advocacy. We educate people in Johnson County about the life-saving, life-changing work of the UN. We educate about the importance of U.S. leadership in the UN. We do this through events like this. We do it through support of the Johnson County Model UN team. And our national organization provides excellent materials, much of it available online, to promote that educational work. The second part of our work is advocacy. We stand for something. We're not simply educators, as important as that is, but we want to call upon citizens to stand up and speak out and to show opinion makers, policy makers, leaders in Washington that there is a constituency out here in the heartland for the UN. Tonight we have a special opportunity. As you may know, the new administration on its first day in office announced a pause in United States foreign assistance, including payments to the UN. These are payments that had already been authorized and appropriated by Congress. It's unclear now whether this is a pause or, in fact, it is a permanent end to U.S. financial support for these programs. Now, I know that the administration is doing a lot of things that confuse us, keep us reeling from one day to the next, and there are many opportunities to speak up and to take action, but I'm wanting to focus tonight on this pause in foreign assistance. It has the result of hurting people around the world and also jeopardizing U.S. standing in world affairs. Tonight, we can do something about it. Up on the screen and also printed in your program is a QR code. You can take your smartphone and use that QR code, and it will take you immediately to a website where you can send a message to Senator Grassley, Senator Ernst, and Representative Miller Meeks. And this may seem like sort of a, is this really going to do any good? I think we have no choice. If we say nothing, that our silence may be interpreted as approval or support for what the administration is doing. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I think by virtue of the fact that you're here tonight, you understand that international cooperation is important. These issues are too important to be left to one political party and sort of glossed over by the other. So I urge you, either use the QR code that is projected up there, or in your program, it's the same QR code. This is something we can do tonight. We can make our voices heard tonight. This kind of advocacy work is what our chapter does on a year-round basis to keep our members of Congress informed about the positions of the majority of Americans who think that the UN is important and that U.S. leadership in the UN is important. I want to call upon now Bijou Maliabu, another one of our board members who will also give a special advocacy presentation.
Hello again. As we gather tonight for the Night of 1,000 dinner to celebrate International Women's Day, we must also remember the ongoing struggle for women in conflict zones, especially in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. I'm sorry. For over 25 years, the people of Congo have endured the horror of war. Over 12 million unalive, driven by the country's vast mineral wealth, including diamond, gold, copper, cobalt, coltan, tin, and lithium. These minerals are crucial to the global economy and supply chain, powering industry worldwide. Used in rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles, renewable energy system, electronic devices like smartphones and laptops that we use every day. They are also essential in electrical wiring and construction. But beyond this economic value, these resources represent the heart of a nation rich in culture, history, and potential. Yet, because of this significant mineral wealth, the effect of the prolonged conflict continued to devastate women and children, denying them the opportunity for peace and prosperity. The world must recognize the invaluable contribution of Congo resources to the world. The war in Congo has gone on for far too long, and it must end now. It is time for the world to stand with Congo and support the people of Congo. So this evening, let us raise our voices for the people of Congo and by advocating for peace, justice, and health and well-being of all people, as outlined in the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 3. International Women's Day is not just a time for celebration, but a call for action. Whether in Iowa, in Congo, or elsewhere, we are reminded of our shared responsibility to fight for peace, dignity, and equality. Together, we can create a world where every woman and child can live in safety, freedom, and prosperity. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nema Maliabo, a youth supporter of JCUNA. I want to send out a big thank you to all our sponsors. You make tonight possible for the fundraising and the celebration of Night of 1,000 Dinners. We also want to express our gratitude for the in-kind contributions. Thank you.
Asanteni nyote kwa kutusaidia kuunga mkono kazi za mashirika haya: Free Medical Clinic, Prairielands Freedom Fund, Healthy Start for Refugee Kids, na pia juhudi zetu wenyewe kwa niaba ya Umoja wa Mataifa, United Nations. Tunawashukuru sana. Jioni njema kwenu na safari salama nyumbani. Usiku mwema. Asante. Thank you.